This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, we're going to be diving into not being a first-timer the first time you come to Las Vegas. So this is all stemming from something that's actually happening in Vegas as we speak, which is Barstool Spring Break, which some of you may know. I know it might be like an age thing, but it's something that I've been following on social media. They did it last year on the Jersey Shore, and they're doing it in Las Vegas. Lots of partnerships, which is actually the way that you do, Vegas, and, for relatively cheaper than what you would do without it. But also, like, they need a lot of access into certain, like, nightclubs and restaurants, and you kind of have to do it this way so you can, film on the inside. So you see a lot of stuff. For those of you not following it, so it is basically I'll actually explain on the other side, but I do want to talk about things that I've seen that I do want to sort of dispel, and also some things that happened, like in the hotel the other day, that I do want to explain, like why Vegas hotels are sort of different, and how and why they are sort of a different type of resort than you've probably been to. So I know I talk about that every so often, but I did get a question that was, pretty funny that I wanted to highlight. So we're going to talk about sometimes people don't come to Vegas very often. It might be your first time. This might be a fun way to regale other people of like, yeah, I've seen that happen too, and it cannot happen. And we'll go over that. So I'll go over how you can look like you know what you're doing, even though it's your first time in Las Vegas. So not technically a first-timer's guide, but just things you shouldn't do when you come to Vegas and look and act like you've been there before. So that'll be coming up next, right here on Concierge Confidential. Okay, guys, so this is going to sort of replace the news of the day. Although, news of the day, a lot of events in town. Like, lots of people talking about Las Vegas. WrestleMania was in town, lots of conventions. WrestleMania people just going crazy at MGM Grand. It's been, like, really great for me on social media lately, just following it along, just because, people will say, like, oh, like, this is... So one clip that was out there was that a lot of the wrestlers had to walk through an entire casino to get to their hotel room. And I'm going to use the MGM Grand as an example. It is not far from the valet to the VIP, which I would think that's where WWE stars would go into. Some of them maybe not be staying in the Skylofts, but they should be able to access the VIP lobby. Well, it also could just be poor planning by WWE on their own right. But essentially going up to the Skylofts, if that's where you're staying, or one of the other rooms, they do have a specific door that is right near the lobby. So I don't know why there were so many issues. Whenever you do want to go up to the elevators, they do have... Sorry, this is sort of dispelling a lot of stuff. When you go through the Skyloft entrance or the VIP entrance, they do have another door that will get you to the bank of elevators that you need to get get up to your floor. So it's just weird. Like, sometimes, you're just not going through the right directions. You have to understand that lots of hotels have very secret passageways to get to and from different areas of the hotel. So they don't have to walk through the center of the casino, especially the newer ones. There's always sort of like this maze of corridors to be able to get from, for example, the Blue Live Theater to the back offices without having to go through the casino. So that's at Fontainebleau. But that's for any theater. Like for Coliseum, a lot of hotels who have had add-ons, so like Caesar's Palace, for example, they don't have as many of those back alleyways, which they do. They do build them in mind, but they may not get to certain parts of the hotel, like, for example, hotel rooms. So sometimes you do have to go through certain areas. Sometimes you have to go down to like sort of a basement, through a service elevator, so on and so forth. So sometimes these theaters that have been added on to bigger properties, it's much harder to get to them. So just wanted to know, that's just my little note on the WWE and their talent issue getting to their hotel rooms at MGM Grand. So what brought us to today's episode? So again, like I told you guys in the opening, I have been watching the Barstool Spring Break, which is our Barstool Barstool Spring Break House, which they are staying at the Palms, which I did call it out like 2 episodes ago when I did this, when it was revealed they were coming to Las Vegas, and I wanted to note, like, what hotel they're probably staying at. I got it. So they're staying at the Palms in a couple of their, like, sort of, they used to be called fantasy suites, or the Hardwood Suite is the one that one of the groups is staying in, which makes sense. Actually, great pub for the Palms. Good for them. Although they leave every night to not stay at the Palms, they go to different properties. So they did actually go to the property that I work at, Poppy Steak, which that was cool. This is all documented, by the way. This is not like inside information, but they went to Poppy Steak. Then they went to Encore Beach Club. They also went to Live Beach, excuse me. They also went to Marquee as well, and they ate at Beauty in Essex. So I think the thing with this show is that some parts of it are boring, obviously. It's basically all a clip show that you can follow on social medias. And I like watching it, one, for some of the personalities, but really to, like, see them do Vegas things. And I'm always excited to sort of see, like, what they did, where they went, and also the places that the places that agreed to do this. And I don't know, I just have fun seeing my city, which is kind of fun. I'm in actually one of the clips, which is kind of funny because they walked through when I was there one day. But they do some things that would never be allowed inside of a casino. And before I get to that, let's get to the question that I wanted to answer. Is that I had a guest walk up to me the other day, and she was older, and understandably was waiting for somebody in the lobby at Fontainebleau, and said, "Why? I have a comment for you. Why don't you guys have chairs here? You guys should put chairs because people are, sitting and they're waiting for people. Why don't you have chairs here?" And I will answer this question for everybody who listens to this podcast. If you've never been to Vegas, I'll explain it. Vegas hotels are not like hotels in other parts of the world. Other parts of the, United States specifically. Other places in the United States, you have a lobby. You will have typically an area to sit down and lounge about, like when you're waiting for a car, you're waiting for a taxi, or you're just sitting and waiting to go to the airport. Fine. Totally get it. If you walk to almost any casino or hotel on the Strip specifically, you will not find a bench or a place to sit. Then people ask, why? The reason we do not have chairs or couches in the lobby specifically, this is the lobby specifically, is because we don't want you to sit there. We do not want you to sit in the lobby and actually have people congregate, because this is what happens. This will always happen. Because yes, this woman would need a chair just to sit down and wait for her friends. There will be people who are waiting to go to the airport, who they have, they have an hour before they have to leave to go to the airport, and they just get their stuff, plop it down on that couch, commandeer that space, and now are laying down and stretched across these couches in the middle of our lobby. And you know who doesn't like to see that? Hotel owners. Hotel owners do not like to see their lobby as like a waiting room at the airport. So they typically do not have them. And it's also a function to get you into the casino or into the bars or into the restaurants to spend money. That is not a new thing, especially in Las Vegas. We have engineered many things in this town to make you spend money. That is not new. That is not a COVID thing. That has been happening since almost the beginning of time in Las Vegas, especially the modern Las Vegas, where we're here to make money. And it is all engineered for you to get into the casino. A couple other little Vegas things for you to know about is, this is kind of a fun one. Everybody knows the clocks thing. Like, that's like not even fun to bring up anymore. Like, if someone said, did you know, like if someone today said on Twitter, did you know that if the casinos in Vegas do not have clocks? I would say, yeah, we've known that for 60 years. So again, that's a new thing. Everybody knows that. But a couple other ones. We do not have mirrors in casinos for a couple of reasons in terms of, we don't want you breaking glass because people get mad. But also, it is actually, this is like a thing that, Steve Wynn has sort of talked about, is that nobody has mirrors in casinos because, one, everybody wants to keep the illusion of who they are in Vegas. And what's the one way to break the illusion is to see yourself in a mirror. Also, nobody wants to see themselves lose, which the only way you can do that is, besides actually losing, is looking at yourself in a mirror as well. So that's also why we don't have any mirrors in casinos. Yes, I know restrooms have mirrors. So another one, if you ever cash out and you go to the cashier's cage, and again, this might just be because of staffing, but if you ever go to the cashier's cage, have you ever walked straight up to it during peak hours and were able to get, a person? Usually there are 10 slots at the cashier's cage, and there's always maximum 2 or 3 people working for the entire cashier's cage. Some places do staff them quite well. Like I think Fontainebleau staffs pretty well, just because I've seen them never sort of backed up. Other places, Caesar's Palace actually does a pretty decent job, but Bellagio, longest line in the world. Another one is, where was it? Cosmopolitan, Bellagio, those places, super long lines to cash out your chips. Never fails. Also Aria, kind of a weird one. But yeah, that one always as well. So the win is always backed up with people trying to get their credit. Oh my God, it's so annoying. But that's all I got to say about that. But yeah, those are some Vegas things that are different from casinos in Vegas, or hotel casinos in Vegas and other hotels. So what has been happening on this show that has got me all in a twist? So these guys, they are doing a lot of social media, obviously, and they are showcasing them partying, drinking, dancing, going to clubs, going to restaurants, obviously. And they also have a security team that is also helping them out as well. And there were a couple of things that happened, like just don't do this. So these are your don't do's. So if you're going to a nightclub or a bar in Las Vegas, one thing, and especially nightclubs, the number one thing we don't want to see, we do not want to see you on the ground, and especially like laying on the ground. So what does this mean? So for example, in a video, this girl was actually dancing, and then she thought she was being funny by going bending down, and then she fell on the floor. And step one is like, we don't want to see people on the floor. But then she thought it was funny, and I was like, she's like, I'm just going to lay here in embarrassment. Security actually really hates that. And they will typically kick you out if you do that, just because they don't want it to be perceived that you are laying down, you're falling asleep. We don't want you to be hurt, obviously. But one thing you don't do, don't go to the ground. That's a number one way of getting either kicked out of a hotel or getting talked to by security, is you being on the ground whatsoever. Just don't do it. Obviously, that's a very minimal thing, but it is a thing that I saw happen, and I've seen it happen before, and security is very quick to say, absolutely not. Another one, this is another rookie move. Understand your limitations when it comes to shoes. This is for the ladies. Ladies, I get it. Heels hurt. Totally understand. And again, this is more of a life lesson, just as well as for men, is test out your shoes, break them in. I know I sound super old right now, before you go out. Many of our hotels have carpet and marble, and a certain hotel, the hotel I work at, Fontainebleau, lots of marble for a lot of the hotel. So whenever you're walking around, it's going to hurt. I saw somebody take their shoes off before they even got to the restaurant, which that is a long night for somebody who has to go to the nightclub after. So understand your limitations when it comes to shoes. Don't be afraid to pack some flats. And this is another thing, is she was about to walk into the restaurant and had to put her shoes back on. You got to fake it till at least you walk into a venue. Once you get in the venue, you can take your shoes off, whatever. Not that I want you to, but I'm just saying that's where you can take your shoes off, put your flats on, put your flip-flops on, whatever. But walking into the venue, that is the reason you are dressed up. That's so you don't get denied entry. Very, very important. So test your shoes out, know your limitations when you're wearing shoes, and then you're good to go. Another one is hats. This also happened by somebody asking me. They said, "Can I wear a hat? Can I wear this, a ball cap, a baseball hat in one of our steakhouses?" And it is one of those weird gray areas where I did have to call the steakhouse. They don't like it. Sometimes they will tell you to take your hat off. But I was trying to be understanding because this was like, hospitality brain. Like, what if this person's balding? What if this person got a hair transplant, doesn't want to show it off? And, it's in the middle stages. So I was really cool by saying, yeah, like you can leave your hat on. But yeah, hats, we're kind of against hats inside of restaurants. It's just one of those things. But, obviously this place was able to, have it, and that's what it is. But again, fancy restaurants, if we say business casual or upscale casual, that means usually no hats. Not a big hat city. So as I continue down, oh my goodness. So another thing that happened on this particular show is that they were at Gronk's beach party, and they were like sort of in the DJ booth, and they were setting up for their friend's DJ set, because one of them is a DJ. They all are. And she got up and then tried to crowd surf. She actually jumped off of the stage, which is, about 10 feet high, and then into a crowd, which didn't catch her. One person caught her, thank goodness. And that automatically gets you kicked out. But if you're not, a member of VIP, she didn't get kicked out, which I would have loved to see her get kicked out, because I don't think that's cool. It's super dangerous. Like, people think it's not. It's super, super dangerous. So I know that's a sort of outstanding thing, but it is not safe to do anything crazy like that. Nightclubs are extremely restrictive of crazy things you can do. It's just like, we don't impede other people. Don't be on the floor. Obviously, if you throw up, that's game over. Usually, once you throw up in a nightclub, you're kicked out. That's the policy. So, control yourself. Pacing yourself. That was another thing from the show that I really wanted to let you guys, tell you guys about. Because on the show, it was the first day, and they went to a day club, they partied, and then they were going to a nightclub later. Obviously, they went to a restaurant as well. In between that, they were kind of getting on people for taking naps and that kind of thing. If you're going to be doing a lot of activities that day like that, feel free to take a nap. Naps are actually really, really important for helping you get sort of sobered up, and then also being ready to go out. Because you do have to sort of reset your body, especially when you're doing a lot of drinking, like going to a day club, then doing like dinner with drinks, and then going to a nightclub too. You do need that sort of reset to kind of get you through that day. And it's always kind of a dead time of the day when you look between like 3-4 o'clock to like 7 or 6 o'clock, let's just say. That is sort of a dead time. It's a great time to take a nap, kind of reset, get ready to go, and then go out to a restaurant. So I think them getting on people for napping around that time of the day is kind of crazy. But it is important to, tell yourself, hey, I need to take a little nap. I need to close my eyes for a second, reset, and then you're good to go. Just take a nap, man. Just you need it. You need it, especially like before like a concert or something. Make sure you take a nap. So make sure you take naps. Another thing is they actually have had whoever coordinated their particular trip really good, I have to say. I think the good thing about whoever created this event and the person who coordinated the locations did a really good job of, and I think that some of this has to come down to the hotels themselves and the nightclubs. They have sort of partnerships with these things. So let's use yesterday, for example. They went to Gronk's beach party, which was like a nightclub. So it was at Marquee, and they had dinner at Beauty and Essex. That's a very common package where they go to Beauty and Essex, and then from there they'll go to Marquee. Sometimes when you go to like Tao nightclub, you'll go to the Tao restaurant, and then you have the same package deal by going into Tao nightclub. Same thing with like Live. Like sometimes you'll go to Poppy Steak, and then from Poppy Steak you'll go right into the nightclub. it's very common to have those things, and I think they've done these pretty well, I have to say. Although, like the first night, they did go to Poppy Steak, and then they ended up going to XS, which that was an interesting sort of like, I thought they would go to Live as well, but I think on Saturday, the night that they were going to go was 50 Cent, so it could have just been the package wouldn't have worked out for them. But I think that's also how you guys should set up your trips. If you are going to be going to a nightclub, you do typically want to go to a restaurant that is going to match those vibes. So, for example, like Fountain Blue, they have Komodo, which is going to be like their like Asian restaurant, which is sort of like Tao. It's obviously newer. It has a DJ booth, very social, obviously. And then from there, you would go into Live nightclub. And I think it's good to sort of schedule them that way. And that takes planning. You do have to kind of look in advance and say, okay, what nightclub do we want to go to? And then you pick the restaurant. I think that's the best way to go about it, is picking the nightclub first, because you're going to spend, probably about 2 or 3 hours in the nightclub. You want to know that it's music that you like, a nightclub you want to experience, and then you can sort of model the restaurant before that. So I do think they've done a really good job of scheduling the restaurant, so all you have to do is walk to the nightclub in the same location. Yeah, so like they went to Marquee, and they also went to Beauty and Essex, which Beauty and Essex, very social bar. Every nightclub or every hotel that has a nightclub always has at least one restaurant that is either owned by the nightclub or is there to feed into the nightclub, for example. Like Omnia, which is at Caesar's Palace, they used to have, where Stanton Social now is, it was the Seersucker Club or Seersucker Club, and it was very common to go to Seersucker, and then from there they would go into the nightclub. So every nightclub, every hotel has that sort of package. Not that you pay it all together, but they typically will work together for the greater good. What's another thing I wanted to talk about? So the way that, if you're coming to Vegas and you're going to go to a nightclub, this is a thing that everybody should understand is, gentlemen, always dress a little bit higher than you think you need to. Women, you can dress however you want, because most women kind of get the idea. Do you have to wear heels? That is always a very common question. Most of the time, yes. I would say most of the time they do want you to wear closed-toed shoes. That's always kind of like the big deal. They don't want flip-flops at the door. You can wear flats once you're inside, because no one's going to ask you once you're inside. So I would say maybe wear your nice shoes when you are getting to the club, and then once you get inside, switch them out, and you're good to go. Men, please do not wear and again, this is the Be Who You Can Afford to Be part of the podcast, where if you can afford to wear New Balance shoes and, jeans and a polo shirt, do your thing, man. But usually the big no-goes are for regular nightclubs, like no tank tops. They don't typically like you to wear like light blue jeans, no shorts, no flip-flops for men, no slides for men. Usually they want you to wear dress shoes. That's the safest bet. Sometimes you can get away with Jordans, like especially if you kind of understand your like palette on how to dress, like putting your outfits together. You can get away with it. Like I will sometimes, like when I go out, I'll wear some like dress slack looking, like kind of a dress slack with, really white sneakers, very clean white sneakers, or like Jordans. Sometimes I wear like a Chelsea boot. Like Chelsea boots are good ways to get in as well if you don't want to wear like a full-on, Oxford shoe, essentially. I know that like I look good if I wear like just like a regular black shirt with like maybe a bomber jacket or just a jacket over top. That's totally cool. No graphic tees, or not big on graphic tees. You can get in anywhere with just like a nice black shirt, a nice little jacket on top, and then some nice shoes. And just make sure you're wearing some type of dress pant or, dark jeans. You're usually good. So, again, it's back to the Be Who You Can Afford to Be. But ladies, yes, wear whatever you think looks good, but you're also comfortable. I totally get it. And the question always arises is like, should I wear this thing or should I wear this like sexy piece that I brought to town? This actually used to happen with me on the tour bus. They said, well, I have this outfit, But then I have this other one that's like a little bit more revealing and a little bit more edgy, but I'm kind of nervous. I don't know which one to wear. And I always tell people to wear the crazy one. Wear like the outfit that you can't wear back home in, let's pick on a state in South Dakota where it's going to be, perceived a certain way. Here, no one cares. All we're going to more the bigger thing is that more people are going to notice you. Good or bad, but it's going to happen. But I just say have fun. That's always the biggest thing. Have fun, go crazy. My middle brother wore this awesome outfit that he would never in a million years. He's a different person. In Arizona, where my brother's from, which was like it was like this crazy, like striped, cut like button-down shirt with matching shorts that it kind of looked metallic with a matching hat, and he went to dinner that way. Honestly, loved it. It matched the vibe of what he was going for. And again, like we noticed, like, oh, you put that together? Totally cool with it. Just go nuts. I thought he looked great. I was really proud of my brother that day. It was really funny. So yeah, I liked it. Okay, so another thing. So for people, we're getting off of like sort of that whole Barstool thing now. So you're coming to Vegas and you don't want to look like a first timer. A straight up first timers move is that you do the mobile check-in. Mobile check-in is lame. I was actually standing in the lobby the other day and this guy was talking to the bellman because there was a little bit of a long line, and this is actually important. This is an important thing to sort of touch on, is that he said, oh, I have to wait in this line. They said, yeah, you can come back later and the line might be shorter, but, it's up to you. And he said, oh, so I have to wait in this line like it's, 1907. And it's like, this is why I don't like people like this. I don't like people like this. And this is important because, yeah, if you want that, go to Luxor. They don't even have a front desk. They have no agents. So when you have to come down and you have to change your room because you didn't like where it was, this is what you get. So I think it's really important to understand is, yes, it can be efficient doing pre-check-in, just getting your keys and going to the room. My brother does that. My oldest brother does that all the time. But it's not the way that it works because he's a big Disney guy. And I think the difference is between Disney and Vegas is that Disney, when you pay more for something, you tend to get it. They are really good about like setting off rooms for certain, packages, certain deals, certain levels, of course. And that's fine. That's Disney. But in Vegas, unless you're buying like a fleur-de-lis suite or a skyloft or something of that nature, which is high level, you sometimes have to talk to a human. And it's funny because when you get higher and higher in terms of like your status in Vegas hotels, and I've noticed this by working at Fleur de Lis for just a little bit. I go up there every so often. But when you start working or start going to higher level things like Skyloft, like the like Fleur de Lis, like the Sky Suites, like the Tower Suites at the Wynn, you actually get more personalized, more humans that are actually connecting with you. Your butlers, your room coordinators, your VIP service coordinators, your VIP concierge. You get more of that. You actually get more human interaction, not less. So for someone who wants to act like they're a big shot, like, oh, well, like, why can't I just get it on my phone? It's because we want to deliver a more personalized experience for all of our guests. And that is why we want you to check in with an agent, because they're able to ask questions like, is it your anniversary? Is it your birthday? Do you like a high floor? Do you want to be closer to the elevator? We usually can't do that if you check in, mobily. You can request, but it's really easy for a computer just to say, we didn't have that other room available or it wasn't clean. So get in line. But also, like, I like that our lobby doesn't look like, Caesar's lobby did for a while, where it just had these big giant mobile check-in computers that, make the experience, less personable. So I don't know. That was like really something that like kind of itched to my crawl. But for those of you first timers, when you come to Vegas, check it at the front desk. Let them know all your notes. Say, hey, it's my birthday. Hey, it's my anniversary, whatever. Because then who knows? You never know what you might get. We've definitely cut back on a lot of the comps that we send up. Like, this is something I learned when coming back into hospitality. And it sucks, but it is the name of the game. But you never know if you don't ask, you won't get it. So it's kind of the way it is. So check out the front desk. Don't check in right at 3 o'clock. If you can, check in a little bit before, just because sometimes they do have rooms that are open that you can try getting in early, so you can actually experience your hotel faster. If you do drop off things at the bell desk will hold your luggage whether you're coming or going, and yes, you do typically have to be in your room when you call for your luggage. You can't call from your phone, usually, like your cell phone. So that's kind of the way it goes. Oh, if you're wondering, what are the worst days to check into a hotel? Obviously, Friday is a very busy day. And guess what? Sunday is also a busy day to try to check in. The worst days to try to get room upgrades are Fridays, obviously, and Sundays, obviously, because we have so much turnover, so many checkouts. It is hard to either get a room early or get an upgrade in a room because they're not clean. So that's really one of the reasons why it's kind of tough sometimes. So if you are interested in, it's your first time to Vegas and you want to know what to do, I would recommend going back in our page and checking out First Timer's Guide to Las Vegas. We'll go over more of that stuff over there. So I think I covered most of it. Yeah, I think I covered most of it. If I think of anything else, I'll pull it up on the next episode. But again, really appreciate you guys listening. Come up and say hello if you see me out in town, of course. I will be pretty busy the next couple of days, but hopefully it'll be really fun. And we'll think up something for the next episode. So we'll see what happens. So thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate it. Come up and say hello if you see me out in town. Remember, you can say hello to me. We'll buy a drink, get you a drink or something. But remember, keep it confidential.